Thank you for staying with us. Over the last 24 hours, there have been massive protests all across the northeast. In Tripura, the police even opened fire on protesting students and 11 students were injured. In Agartala, clashes between protesters and the police left people injured, and in Assam, the highways were blocked. In Delhi, protesters from Assam's local party KMSS staged a naked protest in the capital to get the attention of the national media, whom they say have ignored their cries this entire time. They are all protesting the Citizenship Amendment Bill, which was passed in Lok Sabha in spite of the grave unhappiness it invokes among the very people it is meant for. Take a look.
On the debate tonight, the Citizenship Amendment Bill that was passed in the Lok Sabha yesterday was introduced in the Rajya Sabha today. The bill seeks to grant Indian citizenship for non-Muslim migrants from Bangladesh, Pakistan and Afghanistan.
मैं यह बताना चाहूंगा कि हम सिटीजनशिप अमेंडमेंट बिल इसलिए लेकर आए हैं ताकि हमारे 3 पड़ोसी देशों के 6 अल्पसंख्यक समुदायों के माइग्रेंट की संकटपूर्ण परिस्थितियों का निवारण किया जा सके।
पाकिस्तान, बांग्लादेश और अफगानिस्तान से आए हुए मां भारती के बेटे बेटियों को, भारत मां की जय बोलने वालों को भारत की नागरिकता का रास्ता साफ हो गया है.
But although the centre says the bill will preserve the culture and identity of the Northeast, there is massive unrest because of the bill in the Northeast, and protesters say that the bill, instead of resolving the ongoing crisis over illegal immigration in Assam, is making the situation more volatile. The bill, which amends the Citizenship Act 1955, makes migrants who are Sikhs, Hindus, Buddhists, Jains, Parsis and Christians eligible for citizenship, but not Muslims, Jews or even atheists.
With the opposition again trading charges and allegations at the government that this bill also has a lot of details and fine points which needed further deliberations and scrutiny.
Most political parties, including the allies of the BJP in Meghalaya, Mizoram and Nagaland, are opposing the bill. Even BJP ally AGP has exited the BJP-led coalition government in Assam.
Northeast is burning and there is nobody to answer to that. Entire Northeast is burning and for the Citizenship Amendment Bill.
Mirror now asks, why make a religion-based citizenship policy? Let's debate.
So it's a very simple question. There's a reason why you and I should care very deeply at this point. First of all, the government has placed before Lok Sabha, passed through Lok Sabha and placed before Rajya Sabha a bill that basically says if someone comes in from another country, specifically Pakistan, Afghanistan or Bangladesh, and they are not Muslims, they will be offered citizenship. But if they are Muslims, they will not be offered citizenship. Question number 1. As a secular country, should we be making decisions on citizenship based on religion? Question number 2. This is a citizenship argument. And this is not citizenship of the Northeast, it's citizenship of India. Every single member of this country should care. Why is it that Parliament was only given a day to discuss this bill? And most importantly, I do believe that at prime time we must dedicate time to understand why our fellow citizens in the Northeast are so upset. It is our responsibility as Indians right now to understand the problem. So we're going to spend the next 1 hour understanding the problem. And I want to point out to our audience that in order to do that, there are no politicians on this panel. So it's not about what the BJP wants or what the Congress thinks. It's about the legal standing of this bill. Joining me on the panel, Aishwarya Bhati is an advocate with the Supreme Court, Prashant Bhushan, senior advocate with the Supreme Court, Patricia Mukim, the editor of the Shillong Times, Kailash Vasudev, senior advocate with the Supreme Court. We also have Shyam Kanu Mahanta is a political analyst, and we'll have Dr. Bhattacharya of the All Assam Students Union He's an advisor with them. Join us through the course of this conversation. I welcome all of you to this conversation and I thank you for your time. Mr. Vasudev, good evening. My first question is to you. As a secular country, is it right for us to be making a citizenship decision that is religion-based?
Evening. This is a very controversial situation at this point of time. Yes, you are right. Our constitution says we are a secular nation and we should have laws enacted on the basis of secularism without discrimination under Article 14. Secularism is the backbone of our structure, has been for thousands of years, and should be the guiding beacon for the future. Interestingly, in this debate on citizenship, we are dealing with the problems which started in Assam in 1947 and continue up to date. The local people in Assam and the Northeast are feeling singled out because of the large-scale migration of, should I use the word, non-Indians and immigrants who do not belong to the local people or do not support the local people. You have all sorts of people who have come into the Northeast. The decision by the Government of India for the purposes of tabling this bill is to only give the benefits to those minorities in 3 countries who have been singled out for poor treatment. They have faced the cruelties in those countries, so the Government of India feels that only they are entitled to the benefits of obtaining citizenship in our country. What the Government of India has not been able to do since 1947, I say even post the 1971 conflict in which Bangladesh was created, as also the 1984 Assam Accord, 85 Assam Accord,
yes,
that they would deal with the situation of illegal migrants into India. Not having had succeeded in doing anything politically for the purposes of dealing with this huge migration which has taken place into the Northeast, we have now come to a situation where certain drastic measures are to be taken. The drastic measures were suggested by the Supreme Court in its judgment of 2014, prepare the National Register of People in Assam, register the citizenships, and those who are not, we will see what is to be done. At this point of time, what has happened is that the Supreme Court judgment has indirectly been defeated. Where the Assam Accord set down a certain situation, leading to the amendment to the Citizenship Act in 1985 itself, where Section 6A was inserted, we have now come to a situation where by this process, where the intent of the Assam Accord and the Government of India then, the amendment to the Citizenship Act which took place was to eliminate migrations or illegal immigrants. You will now find a situation where everybody will try and take protection there. But the question is, will the Muslims be allowed? That was your first question. The Act by itself says that you will give the benefit and extend the benefit of citizenship to these 6 communities who have been badly treated in 3 countries. But you don't say anything about those who have been staying in India post-67 or post-71 and how you will be able to prevent them from applying for citizenship. If the intent is to keep a particular community out, then your enactment should be specific by saying that this should relate back to a certain period of time, as against the cutoff dates fixed in the Assam Accord, as also fixed by the Supreme Court. This is where the problem is going to arise. How do you implement it? How do you get into it? Because from 1947, you've done nothing to avoid the situation. Suddenly in 2019, you wake up that the situation has become terrible. If it has become terrible, this particular enactment is not going to solve the problem. It will aggravate it and it will lead to a situation. And one more thing I must mention.
yes,
We are not signatories to the 51 or 57 conventions of the refugee conventions. Yet we have encouraged the refugees. We've looked after them from all communities, from every class since 1947. Not being signatories to the UN conventions, we have extended hope to these people by not throwing them out or not asking them to leave the country. Where will those people go? How will you deal with it? How will you answer anybody? Of course, not being a signatory to the UNHCR, you are entitled to do what you want. But your conduct will be something which will stand in your way.
Yes.
If you had done something earlier, yes, you've done nothing now, and suddenly you're waking up to the situation, you've opened up a very difficult situation to deal with. That's my view.
Thank you, Mr. Vasudev. Patricia Mukim is the editor of the Shillong Times. Ms. Mukim, thank you for joining us. Would you help us understand, for the rest of the country, everyone who's watching in other parts of India, why is the Northeast unhappy, or large portions of the Northeast unhappy with the Citizenship Amendment Bill?
I think all the 7 states of the Northeast, and I'm not including Sikkim here, are unhappy because we are small populations. We are tribes, The entire population of Northeast is only 4 crores. And we have been battling illegal immigration from whenever I can remember. It's a problem because, land is a finite resource. We don't have land to share with others. And resources are finite too. As it is, no jobs are created, and there is a problem about just about getting a livelihood. So if we have to deal with more population, that is our biggest challenge, and that is why we're very unhappy with the bill. And also because there is this religious dimension here. To all of us here, it looks like it's just vote bank politics and nothing else.
But Ms. Mukim, the government has gone out of its way. The Prime Minister made a statement, the Home Minister made a statement in Parliament saying that we will make sure that your culture is looked after, your language is looked after, and there is peace restored in the Northeast. Are you not convinced with those statements?
No, this is easier said than done. Nobody really cares about conserving our culture. We have to do it ourselves. And we are losing out in every which way you look at it, Our cultures are all sort of eroding because every day we're having to deal with new problems and new situations, and nobody is going to help us conserve our culture. It's going to erode even further with all this illegal immigration or what is sought to be made legal henceforth.
Now, one more question, Ms. Mukim, that I'm sure the rest of the country would want to ask as well. One understands, or one's given to understand, that most of the migrants that cross the border between Bangladesh and Assam, or Bangladesh and the Northeast, are in fact Muslims, which is why the government particularly believes bringing in this bill will cut down most of that migration. Why do you disagree?
No, any kind of migration, Muslim, non-Muslim, if the whole country is agreeable to share this population, then let them share this population. But we know that the bulk of this population will reside in this region because this region is easy to cross over.
All right, Prashant Bhushan joins us as well right now. Mr. Bhushan, good evening and thank you for joining us. My first question to you is the same question I asked Kailash Vasudev. As a secular country, should we be making decisions on citizenship that are religion-based? So right now we've decided that Muslims and atheists are the only ones we've left off the list, but we will accept anyone else from Pakistan, Afghanistan and Bangladesh. Is that, in the spirit of our constitution?
No, in my view, that is totally against the spirit of our constitution. The constitution specifically prohibits discrimination on the ground of religion. And this is clearly discrimination on the ground of religion, which has not only been done by this new amendment to the Citizenship Act, but it has also been done last year by amendment to the passport rules, by amendment to the there are other rules also which have been amended and which provide that anybody belonging to these various communities except Muslims who have come to India as refugees would be given long-term visas. The only conspicuous thing that is missing is the word Muslims from there. So therefore, clearly, after this government came in, which we all know is basically a communal government, which wants to discriminate against Muslims, wants to discriminate against Christians, wants to reduce them to second-class citizens, whoever is there in this country, and wants to prevent any Muslims from being given long-term visas, even if they are persecuted refugees like Rohingyas, etc., and wants to prevent them from getting citizenship, while it is happy to give citizenship to members of other communities who have fled those countries on account of discrimination or on account of any kind of persecution. So to my mind, this is clearly communal in nature, and this is in tune with the communal politics of the BJP, and in my view, it's totally unconstitutional in a secular country like India.
Aishwarya Bhatti, do you agree?
Well, my views are slightly different on this, Faye.
Please.
The way I see it is, of course, our constitution does not permit any discrimination on the basis of religion. And but the basic theory of equality is that equals have to be treated equally, and you can't treat people who are unequals equally. Now we have to, I think, bear in mind the fact that this bill will seek to amend the Citizenship Act of 1955, and it will add. It will lower the threshold for a certain category of people to seek citizenship in the country. It's not like the other processes of citizenship which are prescribed will be taken away by registration or naturalization or having Indian parents, etc. The other processes stay. Only for a particular category of people from 6 communities, 6 religious denominations coming from 3 countries. Now those 3 countries are Pakistan, Bangladesh and Afghanistan. Now these 3 countries, we have to understand, are not secular countries like India. They are Muslim countries where the majority of the denomination is Muslim, and we also are aware that the minorities are persecuted on the basis of their religious identities because they're not secular countries. Religion is a way of private life in India. State has nothing to do with it, but in those countries, religion is a way of state life also. Therefore, the persecution for religious minorities is extremely huge. Therefore, to make a segregation.
No, sorry. I just want to ask you a couple of questions so you could answer them while you speak. First of all, you did say unequals. On what basis are we deciding that Muslims that come from these countries are less equal than Hindus that come from the same country? Technically, Indians should be the equals and everybody else should be less equal in our country, but that's not how we're looking at it. We're looking at it based on religion. Second question, you did say that these people are persecuted based on religion. Now, asylum is normally granted when people come or flee from countries of conflict. Bangladesh currently is not in conflict.
So, like I was explaining, Faye, that it's only for these 3 countries where Muslims are the majority, and the religion of the state itself is Muslim religion. They're not secular countries like India. Therefore, there is religious persecution of the religious minorities. So, it's not like the procedure for giving citizenship in other ways is anyway fiddled with under the Citizenship Act. This will only lower the threshold for a particular category of people, and it is only a facilitator. It's not like a blanket citizenship is being granted to everyone who fulfills these criteria of the in any way. There will be a proper scrutiny. The entire process will be followed. The district administration will have to go through the processes and antecedents, criminal backgrounds, both in the country where they are seeking citizenship as well as the country where they have come from. All that, the entire process will have to be gone through. So I don't think we should understand it. And our friend from the Northeast also says it's not about Muslim or Hindu. It is about the problem in Northeast is the influx is greatest there because of it being geographically located the way it is. The influx is greater in the other neighboring
right now, unfortunately, Aishwarya ji, you are contradicting yourself.
Is very, very peculiar.
If it's not a Hindu-Muslim thing, then why have we written out a Hindu-Muslim bill? Mr. Mahanta, your opening statements before I open this up for rebuttals for the whole panel. Effectively, isn't the message that we are sending out here to the rest of the country that non-Muslims are good, Muslims are bad?
At the beginning, I must thank Mirana for raising our issue. This is an issue actually boiling entire North, especially Assam. I just want to take just a few seconds to talk about the history. Northeast, and especially Assam, is facing the brunt of immigration for quite a long time. The entire identity, the original inhabitants of Assam is in danger because of this immigration. This movement has happened in 1979. It started when this immigration actually taking out the majority, a lot of districts of Assam is now Assamese are minority. This is because of large-scale immigration coming from Bangladesh. And Assam agitation started in 1979, ended in 1985 with an accord with Indian government, saying that post-71, 25th March, Hindus or Muslim will be deported, identified and deported. The rest of the country is 1947 is a cutoff year for immigrants, but Assam has shown a big heart and agreed to absorb the Bangladeshis coming to Assam and India up to 1971. After that, there was a lot of movements taking place in Assam. Consecutive governments has failed the people of Assam, and a lot of insurgency movement take place. And this critical state of India has faced a lot of insurgency, a lot of disturbances. Of late, the situation was coming back to normal because of various initiatives by the various people as well as government. And this NRC process, which was mentioned, was initiated under the Supreme Court guidelines. NRC process initiation was done, draft NRC was out, 40 lakhs people was identified. Then this Citizenship Amendment Bill came. With this Citizenship Amendment Bill, entire Assam Accord goes for a toss. Assam Accord basic framework goes for a toss. This NRC process goes for a toss. There are 1,400 crores rupees spent on the NRC, and the supervision of Indian Supreme Court has gone for a toss. That has angered these people of Assam. People of Assam cannot absorb more people because of its geographical size, and we have absorbed for such a long period of time. So that is why this anger is not
you're
about
saying
religion. This anger is about immigrants, non-Indians, post-71.
Yes. Mr. Manda, you're saying irrespective of religion...
So there is two aspects I want to highlight here.
Yes. You're saying irrespective of religion, this was not part of the deal. We don't want anyone.
What is it, very hastily?
Yes, go ahead, please. I apologize.
Exactly. Hastily... Anyone, and hastily brought this CAB. This bill has actually angered, and the entire state is burning. So this was first a very politically, very hastily done decision which has angered the people. There is a talk of constitutional safeguard. This Section 6 of Assam Accord talks about safeguarding the identity in terms of political right of the people of Assam.
Okay.
That is a part of the government has decided to form a committee, which is, I welcome this, although we do not like this Citizenship Amendment Bill, but this process of going for a constitutional safeguard, but a committee has been given 6 months of time. If the government is so keen to bring this CAB, they should have also talked about defining a specific guideline for this constitutional safeguard. So it's a feature of Assam is in danger because of this immigration. It leads to problem for the entire country.
Okay, I'm opening this up. Mr. Bhushan, my first question to you is, the bill was not brought to Rajya Sabha today. It was hurried through Lok Sabha yesterday. Is this part of a pre-election sort of posturing to make the right noises without actually actioning anything?
Yes, to my mind, it is, though it's true that it is part of the normal communal politics of the BJP. But hurrying it up right now is certainly with an eye on the elections, just like that 10% quota bill, which was a constitution amendment bill, which was, I have never seen a constitution amendment bill being brought in and passed so hurriedly. In first time that I have seen a bill coming within 2 days and being passed within 2 days, constitution amendment bill, without anybody knowing about it in advance, no kind of public consultations. Same thing that, of course, the Citizenship Amendment Bill has been on the table for some time, but they are aware that they will not be able to probably push it through before the elections. But still all this posturing is also being done with an eye on the elections. But having said that, I just wanted to say something to my Assam friends here. You see, this issue of diluting ethnic identity, etc., this is not merely an issue regarding immigration which is coming in from another country or people who have come in from Bangladesh or any other country. It's an issue which also occurs when people from different states go into Assam. Now, India being a federal country where there is a fundamental right for anybody
Yes.
to go and live in any part of the country, to practice any profession, etc., you can't really under this constitution, it is equally wrong to raise issues of ethnicity as it is to raise issues of religion, to discriminate against people on the ground of religion. Aishwarya Bhati was saying that it is because we have said only these three countries which are essentially Muslim countries and so on. So what? Firstly, why only these three countries? Why not Myanmar also? Secondly, is discrimination only on the basis
Mr.
of
Bhushan,
religion
I would like
in
to
those
answer
countries?
this question to you.
Yes, yes.
Is persecution only on the basis of religion? People could be coming in as refugees from those countries for various kinds of persecutions or prosecutions, not necessarily only because of religious prosecution. So therefore, clearly, when the bill discriminates on the ground of religion, it is clearly discriminatory and it clearly smacks of the communal politics of the BJP.
Okay. Mr. Mahanta wants to respond. Mr. Mahanta, first, you first. The question of identity.
Mr. Prashant Bhushan, I would like to...
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, let me answer this question. This movement was not against Indians. These concerns of Assam, Assamese people, this movement against non-Indians. People from Punjab, people from Haryana, people from Maharashtra, they are all coming here in Assam. And for last many years, they've been doing business, they are doing work. There is no issue of anything related to within India. This concerns of identity is against non-Indians. I'm talking Bangladeshis. Not the first, I want to clarify to Mr. Prashant.
Would you help us understand why, Mr. Mahanta?
Nothing against anybody, Indians, in this our moment.
So you're okay, and I appreciate that you're okay with the rest of us from the mainland or from other states walking into Assam, but you're not okay with people from Bangladesh. Could you explain to us why? From an ethnicity and an identity point of view.
We believe that Assam is, we believe Assam is for Indians. So this entire Assam's fabric should be, this large-scale immigration, because if you're coming from Punjab, they are not taking over our identity. There are a lot of people coming from, say, Maharashtra, Marathis are there, Kannadigas are there. They are not taking over our identities. This is a language issue also. The Bangladeshis is coming in big numbers and Assamese language is in stake. Our concern is about our languages. Our concern is they're coming in crores. If you talk about coming from Maharashtra, they're coming in thousands or 500, Biharis, they come. They are Indians, but these are coming in big numbers. In terms of immigration, numbers are extremely high because of porous. And one more issue, this is not a religious persecution issue. Assam is a very fertile land. And this is absolutely a porous border from Bangladesh. They just walk in. They cross the river, they walk in. They come for the economic perspective and they come in big numbers. When the numbers are big, our identity is at stake. We are a small community and the rate of growth of population is extremely very low.
Okay, so
Mr.
Mahanta basically saying people are crossing over from Bangladesh to Assam, literally in search of greener pastures. We have people calling in from the northeast right now. Rajiv on the phone line.
Putting our language at stake.
Yes, and your language is at stake. Rajiv on the phone line from Tripura. Go ahead, Rajiv.
Well, actually, good evening to everyone.
Good evening.
When yesterday's incident was really critical, what we have faced in Katla and in Tripura, seems like we've been having a quite a critical situation right now. Seems like whether we should be with the government or we should not be with the government. And well, I'd like to agree with the point what Patricia Muking has said.
Yes.
That why should we only northeastern states bear the number of the immigrants coming out here? Why can't we deport them to some other state?
Okay, so you're saying the northeast shouldn't be the only states that has to bear the burden of the migrants. All right. I also want to give Aishwarya Bhati an opportunity to respond to Prashant Bhushan. Aishwarya, Prashant Bhushan brought up the question of religious persecution and religious discrimination. Do you want to respond to him? Go ahead, please.
Well, Prashant sir raised the issue of why not Myanmar, since these three countries are Muslim countries, so why not Myanmar? So all that I want to say is that the other courses and other mechanisms of citizenship are open and available. It is just that for these three countries and these six communities, now only one country is on the eastern border. The other two countries for which the threshold has been brought down is on the western borders, Afghanistan and Pakistan. So it's not like the entire influx is coming there, and it's only facilitating for this particular category. The norms will have to be met. There is a historical background to that. This also that we will have to understand. Under the British, we were all a common country. Even prior to that, we were not divided the way we are. And at the time of division, India chose to be a secular country, and we know our neighbors chose to be Muslim countries. And therefore, we have to appreciate that there is no distinction being made in India on the basis of religion. But when you are talking about citizens of a particular country, which particular country, all three of them happen to be Muslim countries, then on religious persecution, you have to give special rights to the minorities of those countries when you are considering issues like citizenship. That is my point of view.
Well, then, shouldn't we also be looking at religious persecution in other countries, like Saudi Arabia, for example, or the Gulf, or anywhere else? On what basis are we only talking about these three? Kailash Vasudev, do you want to respond to that and help us out here?
See, this is, as I said, a situation where we are classifying people based on religion. In one sense, you have a situation where the influx from Bangladesh has triggered a movement in the northeast, leading to a very explosive situation. People of each of the northeastern states are agitated about this because their ethnicity, their rights, their title to properties, everything is being affected. Coming down to the classification of only permitting 6 communities to come in from 3 countries, the government has possibly looked at it that in these three countries there's a maximum prosecution of the minorities in those countries. Can we as a nation take the view that we will only protect people from these countries and not from the others? It becomes a bit difficult, especially in view of our secular theories of our constitution. On the other hand, the wider question, which is a political question, is why should we permit those to come in who have been prosecuting the minorities? So here is the conflict of thought. The conflict of thought has become very wide. It has become wider because of the Hindutva movement, which has overtaken us over the past few years. The Hindutva movement has become an eclipse to the secular system in our constitution within our own country. Now take, for example, let's look at it a bit differently. State-wise, we don't like people from other states to come and live with us. Maharashtra doesn't want the non-Maharashtrians. Gujarat has had an attack on the migrant workers who come in and build everything for them. Assam had its showdown with the people from other states. And this is in the past 5, 7, 10 years. So the level of intolerance is increasing because of the fact that we are impinging upon the rights, ownerships, titles, and income of people. So it's all revenue related, it's income related, it's independence for the purposes of earning money. On the conspectus on the international front, as I said, we are not members of the human rights surveys of 57 and 67. Therefore, if the government is taking a view that we will only permit those who are being prosecuted in other countries to come here, keeping the majority out, we are playing with a very odd situation in the constitutional scheme. Either you permit everybody to come in because they'll say we're being persecuted. In Afghanistan, they are having the same problems. Even the Muslims are suffering at the hands of the Taliban. We are fighting in Afghanistan to protect the Muslims from the hands of the Taliban. We are doing certain things in other countries to protect the Muslims from their own selves. So therefore, to say that we're not going to permit Muslims per se, only permit those who are being prosecuted, as against our own international policies, becomes a very paradoxical situation. There is a paradigm shift in thinking. Once that happens, then questions arise. And that is precisely, right. Aishwarya has a point there. Mr. Bhushan has his own positions there. We are looking at the situation as a nation on the whole, the Northeast is erupting because they have been literally driven down to drivel from 1971 onwards. You've had massacres over there, fights over there, and every day it is a battle. You had a full movement for almost 7 years, which eventually led to the Accord of 85. So you see, you've got to look at the situation and give the benefit to the people of our country in selecting a situation where we can safeguard our rights for our people. What do you mean by our rights for our people? Whether you should discriminate on the basis of religion, because of numbers and the proliferation of those numbers, is a matter which is the cause of a lot of eruptions within our systems.
Right.
My personal view is,
yes.
we are a secular country. We are entitled to a secular nature. Yes.
Yes.
And in that one, we are also entitled to select the kind of people we seek to protect. I see nothing wrong about it per se, but if you look at it on a demographic basis, this is my answer. If you look at the constitutional basis, it is wrong. So we have two balancing areas which one has to look at.
Yes, I want Patricia, if she would, Patricia Mukim, if you could help us understand how severe the problem of illegal immigrants in the Northeast is. And is there a feeling right now, because we're seeing some of it reflect on social media, is there a feeling in the Northeast that the national media or the rest of the country is ignoring the severity of the problem?
Yes, this has been stated times without number. I just want to drift away from this citizenship issue a bit. We've had those 15 miners buried in a rat hole mine in Meghalaya, Jaintia Hills, and there's very little traction, from the national media on this issue. And it's nearing a month now that they're yet to be rescued. So it shows also just how much this country really cares for its people in the periphery. And coming to this citizenship bill, I just want to point out to the fact that Tripura has always been a red flag for us. The population of Tripura in 1901 Tripura had a tribal population of 53% in 1901.
Yes.
Today, the tribal population is only 30%. And this is what we all fear, that we will be overrun, we will be submerged, we will be overwhelmed by people from the neighboring country.
Well, you did say, of course, that you believe, and I was looking at the column that you wrote in your newspaper, you did say that you believe that this is entirely vote bank politics, and it has very little to do with the actual needs of the people of the Northeast. Why do you believe that?
I believe that because you look at what Mr. Modi was saying, you showed it in your channel today. He said that people who feel about Mother India and about Hindu, he said it in Hindi, so I don't really understand. But it's something about Hinduism and, Hindutva. Those people who feel strongly about Hinduism and Hindutva, they should have a place in India. So where does that leave us? We are tribals, we are Christians, we are minorities. Do we not mean anything to the rest of India, especially to the present dispensation?
Well, that's a question also I want to take to Mr. Mahanta. Mr. Mahanta, here's my question for you. The Northeast has surprisingly voted, is currently a BJP sort of foothold because of the changes we've seen play out in the recent elections. The BJP has formed governments in several states of the Northeast. For now, very strong voices like Patricia Mukim to turn around and say that you feel betrayed. Is this a feeling across politics and across young people in the Northeast? Do they feel betrayed?
See, in Northeast, Congress was ruling for quite a long time. So there was a large discontentment against Congress. Anti-establishment waves were there. And Modi ji came out with some ideas and thought process, and he saw a lot of goodwill for Northeast. He came to Assam and spoke about he'll take throughout the immigrants. Assam voted for Modi ji. So basically, Assam's main issue has always been the issue of migration. And Modi ji has connected the hearts of people of Assam. And they voted for it. When they voted, the expectation was that this BJP government will take care of this immigrants issue. And the NRC was started, and we had a lot of hopes. That's why in continuous elections, BJP was winning in various constituencies in Assam, as well as neighboring Manipur. So the beginning was good, But this is where the discontent lies. This Citizenship Amendment Bill has created this uproar. The Citizenship Amendment Bill has created the discontentment. Although Modi ji and the BJP has introduced this tribal status for 6 communities, which we welcome actually, and also talking about the safeguard part. But this Citizenship Amendment Bill is a point where we all are differing with BJP's policy. When you talk about immigrants, we are talking about post-71 anybody across any language, any religion, they should be taken out. They should be identified, deported, or at least given a work permit, not a genuine citizen. So this is a point of the debate and the conflict with present dispensation. Otherwise, the beginning, we liked what Modi ji promised, but nothing has been actually done on the ground so far. That's why this content ban.
Mr. Vasudev, go ahead, please.
See, the position is this. The ground realities have been addressed by the Supreme Court in its judgment in 2014. How to go about it, what is to be done once the register in Assam is completed. A guideline has been laid down there. That takes care of a lot of things, if which implemented in the correct spirit would not require all these kind of massive amendments in the Citizenship Act. The Supreme Court has taken a very wide view and has been monitoring the whole situation. If only we follow the system of law as prescribed by the Supreme Court, these problems would have been solved. The local people who have an angst, and rightly so, I mean, like Ms. Mukhi Patricia just mentioned, like Mr. Mohanta just mentioned, the local people are feeling totally trammeled with the huge influx of people not belonging to their ethnicity and impacting their day-to-day life. Remember one more fact. States like Mizoram, states like Nagaland are very largely Christian populations. For them and their tribal populations with very powerful tribal backgrounds, you cannot possibly destroy the basis on which they exist. You are taking away their way of life. You are I mean, how do I put it? You're cringing upon everything which they have.
Yes.
Therefore, the angst. And here the Supreme Court comes in. It has come in on a very balanced view. The Assam Accord is being implemented indirectly, or might say, directly by the court. So what is the need for these kind of acts which bring about a certain amount of dissatisfaction amongst people of our own country who have accepted the fact that we are a secular nation, we must survive within it and throw those people out who don't belong here. If even that is implemented, I think 90% of the problems of the Northeast will be resolved. You will not require this kind of serious changes in the Citizenship Act or otherwise, because, and see an interesting thing, this bill has been presented without cabinet approval. So there is a certain haste at the time of elections. Had cabinet approval been there, had there been some deliberations in the House, had there been some deliberations within the cabinet, one could understand. But the presentation of the bill is dispensing with cabinet approval. I mean,
yes,
you are doing away with the Council of Ministers for the purposes of passing a bill in, should I say, haste?
Yes.
Because under Article 74, even the President is to be advised by the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is to be advised by the Cabinet. So you've done away with the Cabinet, you've come straight to the House, and you're trying to steer a bill without any debate or discussions with the people who are affected. You're dealing with a constitutional amendment which came about after the Assam Accord in 85 and its amendment to the Citizenship Act in Section 6A. So the entire situation of the law has now been given a go-by way of an amendment opening up the chapter which are thorns in it.
Yes, yes.
I mean, dispensing with cabinet approvals, dispensing with everything is something which is
what's the hurry?
Not particularly in good light, especially for a government which came in on a lot of hope.
Yeah, so the question, what's the hurry? We have a couple of people on the phone line. Ankur on the phone line from Bhubaneswar. Ankur, go ahead.
Yeah, ma'am, this bill, this recently introduced Citizen Amendment Bill, actually we have already from 19...
Yes? We seem to have lost that connection. Amjad Khan from Jammu. Amjad Khan, go ahead.
Yeah, well, warm regards to all the panelists and to the team of Mirror Now. From my side, ma'am, as we have been speaking about this Citizenship Amendment Bill, it's not like a topic for debate since like a couple of days or weeks, I'll say it is. A topic of debate since years, I will say, because
yes.
For the day when the immigrants were like brought into our country, this thing had started back then, because we had always had a problem in our country that we just say that we are secular, but we don't act as such. We have some immigrants from Bangladesh in here in Jammu right now. They are the Muslim community. There was no problem to anyone with their presence in here, but the problem started when BJP came into power in this state, and they started to say and they started to talk about their presence, and they started to connect every other negative activity going on in the state to their presence. As you may have been...
Yes. No, I understand what you're saying, but 1 second, let me just give Aishwarya. Aishwarya, I have about 30 seconds, I apologize. But if you want to respond to what was said, and there were several points that were made, but basically, and I just want to put forward the idea that we're making decisions for the people of the Northeast that they seem to be unhappy with. Why can't the bill just treat everyone who comes in from across the border the same way?
Well, Faye, I must tell you that this bill is not just for the Northeast. This will be an amendment to the Citizenship Act of 1955, which will apply to the entire country. The three of the nations that are mentioned, only one is on the eastern border and two are on the western borders of our country. I have already explained my point on why I feel that this is not tilted on religious lines. I think it is not. Also, I think we need to appreciate the point that India has always remained a country which has welcomed people who have wanted to take shelter in our country, whether it was the Tibetans when the China had annexed the country, or whether it was Jews or any other denominations. We've had a rich history and heritage of having accepted people who have been persecuted elsewhere. We are a powerful country. We are a country which is looking up, unlike our neighbors all around us. We have a strong constitution. We have strong constitutional institutions and a very robust democracy. So we will have to act like a responsible nation, not like a nation which is a rogue nation.
I have to rebut what you're saying.
And
also,
I think
we've run out of time. If you'll just allow me, the first page of the bill that has been placed before Parliament says very clearly that provided persons belonging to minority communities, namely Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, Parsis and Christians from Afghanistan, Bangladesh and Pakistan. Now specifically the other two countries, Afghanistan and Pakistan, we have watertight borders with those countries. We don't share a border with Afghanistan. We have a watertight border with Pakistan. We don't. The problem really is in Bangladesh and hence specific to the Northeast. Also, what happens to Jews? What happens to atheists? Why are we making specific calls then about religion? At the end of the day, I want to do two things when we end this debate. First of all, to apologize to our fellow citizens, our brothers and sisters of the Northeast, for not picking up this debate earlier and for not paying closer attention to the problem. I promise you, and I make a commitment today, that we will pay closer attention going forward. Secondly, I want to borrow from the activists of the transgender community who have a saying which is very simple. It says, nothing for us without us. So basically, don't make any decisions for us without considering us, without taking our opinion and without consulting us. So if the decision is going to impact the people of the Northeast so drastically, isn't it only fair that we take the consideration on board when we make these decisions? Thanks for watching.